without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Beach House Jim.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. I just want to do a couple of things. I want to thank everybody else for coming. Bob, we're really grateful that you were able to pull this together. I mean, this guy, thank him for opening up your house. It's kind of neat because a lot of you guys I've been corresponding with on social media, and it's kind of nice to see people live and in person. So this is really a treat. The plan. Okay, I know we've been talking a lot with you guys online about a bunch of different stuff, and our agenda has totally changed. What we were talking about originally, what we're going to cover. And the way this was going to be presented, we were going to do sections and work with Boris and me and all, but I decided to step out of the way. And the reason is because there's been some amazing developments in the past couple of weeks. Absolutely mind-blowing. You guys are going to really enjoy this. We've also got some incredible success stories coming back. I don't know if any of you guys have heard Dee and heard the talk with Boris and all. Things are coming back, and what's amazing is that we live in a great time. People are waking up. We can feel the paradigm shifting. All this information is coming fast and furious for a reason, folks. So we're all here gathered together here in peace together to really make something happen. And I'm grateful that everybody else can make it out. Okay, I guess we already talked about just watch out for walking in front of cameras and watch out for wires. But other than that, going in and out of the bathroom. We will be taking breaks. I'm about to introduce Boris here in a minute, but it'll go kind of like this, is that he's going to run with it, stream of consciousness. What I'm asking you guys, when you run across questions and you have questions, try to hold on to them. We're going to do this in chunks. He's going to run until he's got to change his ever-ready batteries. And at that point, what we can do is we'll take a handful, we'll do question and answers at that time. We have several breaks during the day. We're going to take a break for lunch, get a bite to eat, whatnot. So the food's in the kitchen, but like I say, please just write stuff down so he can get it all out there, and then we can go back and recap and explain things that maybe weren't clear the first time through. Before we start this, I would like to take a minute, if you guys don't mind, and bless this meeting and consecrate this for those of you who are faithers and join. If not, well, you know what? We all want the universal energy here to be good. So I'd just like to say, start this off and say, Dear Father, thank you for the opportunity for all of us to get together here in Bob's house and build community. We come together here with pure hearts, with peace in our hearts, because we know that the only true remedy to this world of war we live in is through peace and not through fighting back. We pray that our presenters here, Boris, that you bring down your knowledge and information and channel it from his brain and move his lips. So let his words be spoken to those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear. Let the information that we gather inspire us to go forward and do good, and to share openly with each other. This is not about commerce. We're not here charging for any of our time. All we really want to do is just as you come across your experiences using this information, share it back with everybody else so we can all grow and bring this whole, bring peace around on a planet that desperately needs it. In the name of our Lord, amen. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Boris. You guys know him already a lot on the internet, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but let's give him a round of applause.
First thing I want to thank you all for coming out to listen.
Thank you.
Without the energy of everybody in this room, this is impossible. Without the energy of everybody I've met around the net, this is impossible. Because it's all about all of us acting as one, and yet each retaining our individuality. It basically boils down to, y'all have been playing the rules of Monopoly with playing like your boardwalk. You can't play the game Monopoly with the rules of boardwalk. Monopoly is international law. Boardwalk is your codes, rules, regulations, all that other crap you all have been dealing with in the past. This is where they're enforcing everything. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10 of the Constitution defines offenses of the laws of nations. Anything that is an offense, anything that the United States has a duty under international law to prevent, is an offense against the law of nations, and they have a duty to make sure all citizens are protected because they extended their martial law to everybody on the world. Everybody is part of this. They extended their hospitality, and basically under Article 7, which makes them a duty under Book 1, Article 104 of the Law of Nations to afford perfect security to anybody they welcome in to their jurisdiction. If not, they will be considered barbarians by the international community and can be physically removed. As soon as they become barbarians, they become subject to Book 3, Law 15. Book 3, Article 15 of the Law of Nations, which basically defines what they're doing as man-stealing and kidnapping, and that's a hangable offense by the nations. The threats they're facing are basically a fear of default or failure of their internet. No, just scroll it up. The Word. Oh, the Word document.
You want to scroll up? Put that in the center.
There we go. This is the threat to national security. It's the fear of default and failure under international law, which will threaten a nation with death or extinction. This is what they're afraid of every single day, of every single moment, of every single second, of every day they fear this. This is why they treat you the way they treat you. They are living out of fear. And in an act of divine... Now. Okay, so in an act of divine inspiration, they bought everything you will ever do with your life, good, bad, or ugly. Doesn't matter.
They bought.
They bought it. They purchased it. They did it by taking. A taking under a uniform commercial code is called a purchase, on their own definitions. A pledge is a purchase. A giving is a purchase. A taking, a selling, buying, it's all purchase. So what they did is they purchased everything you were ever going to do with your life. All the fruit. They entered into a usufruct relationship with each and every one of you. And they offered you a security called a birth certificate to obtain identification. That way they can avoid the economic paralysis and avoid war on the soil, which they failed a couple times. But it's all supported by Law of Nations, Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10. And we found this in an admin brief. Admin brief is a brief written by brigadier generals, certain JAG officials, other high-level national security officials regarding a prisoner at Gitmo, whatever the other thing is down there in Cuba. Yeah. They brought him in. He was coming in under due process clause and other various things. Admin said, if the thing made punishable is which one the United States required by their international obligations to use due diligence to prevent is an offense against the law of nations. Every time you do an acceptance and return it to them and they deny it, it's an offense against the goddamn law of nations because now they're interfering with the protection of the nation and its contract with you. Article 15 U.S.C. 1. Right? They're not allowed to interfere with us. They are employees of international organizations here operating and administrating the public trust known as United States of America. They have duties under the Libra Code. That's the trust administration document. Right? Martial law has never ceased in this country. There's never been a proclamation. Article 2 of that same code states only way martial law ceases is by special proclamation by way of the Commander-in-Chief or by special mention in a treaty of peace, including the war, wherein the occupying army remains as a condition of the same. We chose the peace treaty. Article Book 2 of the Law of Nations, 104, they extend hospitality, makes it a duty under international law to afford you perfect security. 12 U.S.C. 95A is how you get into it, and there's at least 27 different ways to do it. We pick reversion because of the nature of what it does and how these pirates are operating. We did it for protection. I followed all the protections to do everything I've done. Because once you put it in reversion and they go into their probate bullshit, it's now no longer your property they're administrating, it's United States property they're administrating. Right? It's a future event. Reversion is always a future event. What's reverting? Your usufruct back to them. That puts them on the hook for all the taxes and all the rules. Anybody coming in to take control of the property and administrate it, has just come in under the duties of state, under Article 55, because they took control and operated possession. That makes them the state and administrator and usufructuary by international law. This is all international law. It's the only way you're going to get these guys. You cannot use your statutes, your codes, your rules, and regulations against them. It's like inviting a vampire into your house and holding up a mirror and expecting them to disappear. It doesn't work. And under 105 of the Law of Nations, the duties of a foreigner. Duties of a foreigner protect the host nation against any pirates, inundations, and fires of war, as long as they keep in duties with their host, with their origination. You do not come from the United States, you came from nature, you came from the universe. Your duties of the universe are very easy. Very easy. I brought it down, I put it down to like one universal law. And it's all works are done in blank's name for blank's glory, for blank receives the benefit, blank bears the burden. And if you do those works, if you were to receive it, I don't care who blank is. It is irrelevant. Because all the glory goes to the love that's within you to pour it out. And love isn't this lovey-dovey, hippy-dippy crap. It's just accepting what is. And allowing yourself to be a conduit for energy to flow through. And once the energy starts flowing through and you get your ego and your emotions out of the way, because that's what stops it, your emotion, your emotionals, your egos, because that's the lower level vibrations on this plane. This plane is sin. You bring God's love down here, you destroy stuff. You absolutely destroy it because you suck it out of existence. Anything you truly love unconditionally will not exist down here, at least with me. But most of the time it's sin. We're all loving in sin. We love the sin. It's natural down here. But the more you love the sin, the more you get away from your Creator. So you have to reject the sin and become angry and indignant, not at each other, not at the people in charge, and anything else, but the sin in the lower vibrational energies, because you want to change those. You want to rise up. That's what it means. Consciousness means taking your energy from the survival instincts of the lower chakras of Hades, injecting it with your spirit so that Christ consciousness can rise and give life to everything else around it. Revelation 2:10. If thou shalt be faithful unto death, you will be given a crown of life. When you're faithful in death, because they acquired an interest in, under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, they acquired an interest in you through Social Security and the Birth Registration Act. Birth Registration Act is a culmination of Article 137 of the Liber Code for the Forced Pledge. That's the Vital Statistics Act. Your Social Security Act will be Hague Article 43 and Hague Article 55, which are basically codifications of Article 31 and 38 of the Liber Code. Liber Code is foundation of all present international law, because it all goes to administrate the United States Trust. It's the public trust that was created within the sphere of the Law of Nations to give everybody a place to go where they could be themselves and be their own king and not have to bow down to anybody else to have safe harbor, have a place to go where they're not going to be harassed. This is the purpose of what was built here. Everything you see and everything you go through right now is an illusion designed to make you turn away from this. All your lawyers, all your judges, all the police, everything. Everything that's going on right now is all part of the illusion to turn you away from it, but it's actually protecting this. It's protecting their acquisition of interest. And they're allowed to do anything they want under the Law of Nations to protect that interest. Every nation can. So what they're doing, so that's what to do is accept the peace treaty. And that's it. And anybody gets in your way, basically it's a 15 U.S.C. 1 impediments of contract, and Liber Code Article 46 interference with the proper administration of government. In other words, they become terrorists at that point. So your acceptance goes in, you assign over the United States, haven't helped the one get in your way because I ain't going to help. He made his choice. He made his decision to go against God. The state is representative of God down here. It's not God, it just represents the physical manifestation of it to give you something to give everything to. That's all it is. This is an entirely spiritual journey manifesting itself out in this existence. And while this system may be an illusion, it may be ever changing, it may not be real, the effects of it, like the wind, will be felt by all the participants. You can't see the wind, you just know it's there. Same thing with this quote system. But the divinity of it is ever changing, it is ever evolving, and it relies on the spiritual energy of all the participants, which means any moment it can change.
it's also an act of rejection of the
Correct.
presumption of born into original sin.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what you do, so you have the 14th Amendment public debt obligation is basically a reciprocation of the indemnification from Article 38 for their acquisition under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and the fulfillment of their duty to National Security Act under the Social Security, on national security, under the Social Security Act authorized by Congress, and support of duties of law of nations for the extension of hospitality and restoration of public order and safety, which is Social Security. Evidenced by the registration of birth, event, security, lien to person and property, and operation of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10, to duties of national security under 137 of the Lever Code pledge, which is vital statistics. And acceptance of offer over 1295A, Part 2, Safe Harbor, which is your trading with the enemy act. With a voluntary surrender of property or interest under 31 U.S.C. 3173 assignment, which is basically you're taking your insolvent debtor, you're assigning an interest over the United States, and now you're turning them solvent. You're removing yourself from the confusion of the age of Pisces and putting yourself in the age of Aquarius. In other words, get a glass. This is you. Right now. Right now, what you are is if this hit the ground. You got to put yourself back together so it can hold your essence, your water, your life, your intents, your desires, your dreams, your visions. You must put it back together. That's why I told everybody to watch The Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal is a unification movie. It's all about unifying the two halves in ourselves, the good and the evil, back into one, so all there is light. Because it's only when it's split does it become a difference. So you sign the reversionary interest through the Securities Act because this is a future, so you're going into the futures. You're underwriting, securing, and ensuring the United States has ability to discharge duties and administration of the public estates, which, by the way, they have turned everybody into public estates as of 2011? Was it 2011? 2011, every man, woman, and child is part of this public estate. Thus, everybody making a claim against them is a usufruct. And the duties of the usufruct are very definitive. They must put up a security, they got to make an inventory, they got to settle all taxes, pay all claims, and keep things in repair at their own expense. Any failure of one of those is immediate breach of contract and an immediate breach of trust. Because usufruct is both a contract and a split equity trust.
And they're also bound by the federal fiduciary disclosure, fiduciary fair disclosure.
Right. And
Yep.
right, and this is all administrated through Lever Code General Order 100. That's your trust administration document for the United States Trust. And what it does, it ensures the Treaty of Peace, wherein the United States were granted their quote independence, can administer their own affairs. But what it also did, it means all the debtors immediately called their debts due. This is why the bankruptcies have all happened. And this is going to be in fulfillment of the Gettysburg Address and in support of the Declaration. The Gettysburg Address was a public trust declaration by President Lincoln. Basically, so the government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from this earth. Everybody puts in everything they have, everything they do, all their fruit, go into that so it supports that government. Without that governmental support, it collapses and falls. I don't care how much you believe in it. It will not exist in this world. In this world, we are bringing heaven back down. We're bringing heaven to earth and earth to heaven, so we can be reunified with all ourselves. So we go home. That's what this is all about. We're going home. This is a new paradigm. So we come in through Pee-wee Cole as the Supreme Court decision, where basically the government chose to intervene by taking possession and operating control. By doing so, it became the proprietor, and in the absence of contrary arrangements, was entitled to the benefits and subject to liabilities which that status involves. And by taking and purchasing all title on the live or due under Article 31 of the Lever Code, they sequestered all title and took all public monies. Under Article 38, they did the same thing with the private. So you got the state of birth as the receiver of the title, and trustee or legal owner. To surely a reversion is delivered to the United States, which is a grantor of hospitality, and your acceptance grants a reciprocal trust. That you agree to the terms of the usufruct, that you agree that the United States is usufructuary, and you agree anybody administrating it is also usufructuary. And this is what has been put in place to protect the people. They put a system in place whereby one could stand up to 1,000,000 and not fear. This is what has been done. But the problem is the people have turned their back on it because they're looking at all the crap going on by all the other participants who don't want you to accept this. The deceivers, the minions, like all those people, the pirates, the thieves, everything. They're in control for a reason. If you want something built, who do you get to build it? You get the ones who build it who think they're going to inherit it. They didn't build it for them. They built it for us. All this was done by them, for us, as per the will of the Creator. You got to remember, Satan is still God's servant. He may be down here, this may be his domain, but he still serves the divine purpose. He cannot. He was created by the divine purpose. My thing is, he believed he could run the show better because all accountants believe they can run a corporation.
Under the GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles.
Yep. So basically, this is the symbol of peace. Currency is king. The people have become the currency. The people are thus king. They just have to accept their birthright. And all works are done in blank's name for blank's glory, for a blank receives benefit, and a blank also bears the burden. If one does those works, one received, doesn't really matter who blank is. Doesn't matter. It could be Jimmy Joe Bob. I don't care. It could be China for next one. That's all I could. And Bricks. It could be any one of these guys. It could be none of them. They all could be abolished tomorrow and something new come along. It doesn't matter. Because it's all done for someone else's glory. And if it's done for someone else's glory, or something else's glory, some spiritual connection, some entity that loves glory, it could be done for that. It doesn't matter. Everything has to be taken care of by the one who's getting the benefits. And I don't get benefit from any of this. This is what I do. This is my purpose. This is my being. This is why I'm here. And the divinity that is the system is that while it may be seen as illusion, ever changing, what is felt is always a manifestation of the spiritual interaction of the participants.
Praise you.
Okay? Go to the star. Or go to carry currency. Okay, this is the Carey currency letter. This was written in 1864 by Henry Charles Carey to Shulfax, which was the Speaker of the House at the time. This comes out of a book called A Way Out New England Without Fighting Her. It's a list of, I think, 14 or 15 different articles written by this guy to give you the outline of what was going on in the Civil War. And it isn't nothing what you saw in your textbooks or history books or anywhere else. Okay? They were playing the whole of the domestic commerce was in the hands of foreigners who were becoming richer and richer every day while putting the government further and further into subjugation. They were destroying the lifeblood. And this is the Admiralty Law. This letter right here outlines the Admiralty Law that is in America today. The Admiralty Law, the economy of this nation was threatened by foreign interest, so to counter these threats and survival in accordance with the Constitution and law of nations, the United States was authorized under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10 to take all measures to ensure its citizens and interests from acts of terror or acts of terrorism. Economic warfare is an act of terror. To put pen to paper is to be at war. That was Captain America, I believe, in the 40s. All right, you're going to get a lot of movie and cartoon references, so be prepared. Okay. These are acts of terrorism, which are basically acts of belligerency and insurrection, which are all violations of the law of nations. This is how they secured the country. They bought everything you're going to do. This letter right here already outlines everything they've done. They've made a clearinghouse of the entire country. Anything you do, they'll purchase. They'll buy it. They'll take care of it. Any debt to come, they'll take care of it. They've already done it. They've already done it. But everything we have done and said we want it for ourselves. We all went out and got licenses. A license is usufruct. We became usufruct over our own damn estates. And you just have to undo it. Just by accepting what is. The license, and right now, when you're done with it, doesn't mean you're a usufruct. It just identifies one using property. Why? Name plus number plus dude equals no more decedent. I don't care what formula you use. They cannot have a decedent there. Therefore, when you come back under Sestake Vaya or international law, the infant estate comes back to you too, along with all the liens, duties, and levies against it. When you assign the reversion, all the liens, duties, and levies go to the United States. And now they'll take care of it because it's their damn property. They bought it. It's not for you. It's a contract between the state and the federal government to ensure the federal government has the ability to finish and fulfill its international duties and obligations, which were not being fulfilled in the Civil War. That's why it existed. That's why the Revolutionary War existed. They had no government that could fulfill any duty under international law. Treaty of Paris gave them independence, but they had to formulate a country, so they went through the Articles of Confederation. That was lacking in an international law aspect, so they went to the Constitution. This is what they're doing. They're operating under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10. Every court in America is a court-martial court, guys. Every one of them, because every offense is a codification of the law of nations on the local level. Every single court, every single offense is all against the law of nations. Now here's the thing with your driver's license. You have the right to innocent passage. You were granted hospitality, you have the right to innocent passage. 132, Book 2. There's a quote in there. God made the heaven above for himself and his saints, and the earth below for everyone else, and intended it for the rich and the poor. The roads are for their use, and he put no taxes on them.
The earth is mine, it shall not be sold.
That's right. And who are the money changers? Who are the money changers?
We are.
The people. The banks just offer a product. The people are the ones who convert it. They sell their own inheritance. They clamor for this. The people are the ones who clamor for the chains that are around their neck right now, because they believe they should have them. They believe in money. They believe they need money. You know what money teaches? Scarcity. And you weren't in a verse of infinite abundance. Why do you need to be taught there's scarcity? Unless someone was trying to purposely control you. Because money is just a usufruct, guys. It has to be used to have purpose and meaning. If it just sits there, it does nothing but collect dust. It doesn't grow anything. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there like a lump on a log until it goes out and performs its function. It must be consumed to have any value. Grains and liquors are the same thing. Grains do not only mean wheat. Grain also means gunpowders and ammunitions. So when you think about this, the industrial military complex has spent 55 years stockpiling grain. The only way it has any value to them is to what? Use it. You all can put 2 and 2 together from here and come up with a solution that resolves it. That's why you have Iraq, Afghanistan, all that crap over there. They have to get rid of all that shit. Right, to have value. They have to dump it somewhere. And they're dumping the DU in the desert out there. They're dumping all the ammunition into people. That's why the cops are firing 37 bullets into everybody they see. That's why they're buying 8 billion rounds of ammunition. I mean, they have to get rid of this stuff. This is what they've built up. The only way they get rid of that debt associated with it is to expend it. Well, what do? They liquidate delinquent creditors. That's what war is. It's a liquidation of delinquent creditors. At $10 million a pop. Abortion, by the way, if a partial birth abortion is one where the fetus exhibits a heartbeat or some sign of motion, it's considered born alive. All right? When they consider born alive, Social Security Act takes over and they get $1.8 million they can use for 1 full year. Capitalism is the capitalization on the sins of man. And that's how they're operating this whole thing. The sins of the people are being used to slave them through the debt created by the sin.
Before and after.
Yes.
The birth and the afterbirth.
You have a series of isms. You have individualism, where the individual revels in his sin. You have socialism, wherein he socializes the sin with others. You have communism, where they build a community based on that same sin. Now you have capitalism, where they start capitalizing on the sins and binding the people. Then you go into fascism, where they put a face to it, a corporate image, a faceless entity, a logo.
Janus.
Doesn't matter. There could be Coke, could be Walmart, whatever it is. Next you have despotism, wherein the sin becomes the love. After that you have totalitarianism, wherein you start turning your back on God and turning your towards something false. And then finally in the end you have transhumanism, where your complete journey towards Satan or your service towards that ego is done. You've fully turned your back on God and you're no longer even human anymore. That's why they call it transhumanism. You're transferring from human to something else.
Transmutation.
It's transmutation. This is how they're doing it through the isms. It's in sins of man. That's what the root word of ism is. So when you go through this and you see this, right now we're at the point of fascism and despotism. It's starting to turn that way. And if it keeps going, it's only going to get worse. So what we have here are a bunch of people who don't want to see that happen. So we all come to a certain vibrational frequency and wavelength. And once your light starts showing and you start emanating it, start living it, then you give permission to others around you to bind off those chains too. Because this has to stop. I cannot be connected. I absorb too much emotional energy, and it drives me insane. I just want to go home, and I'm here to help you all find that way too. Because home is just where the heart is. I don't care what your home is. It's irrelevant to me. I want everybody to go home, so they can be happy and fulfilled. They can be back to themselves. They can be in touch with themselves and thus with their Creator and all the universal forces that they are able to. Their inheritance is the universe. The energies of the universe is their inheritance to create as will. Flow it through and just give it love. Just stop being a block. Remove the impediment, remove the source of the impediment, and all the problems go away. We are the impediment. Us, each one of us, internally. This is all an internal spiritual journey manifesting in an external experience for all. And like the wind, you're going to feel it, and you just ain't going to see it. And it will blow. And it will move mountains, change the course of streams, and change the history of this world. Change its direction. Because for the first time, the chains have ability. We have the ability to remove the chains that have bound humanity since its inception. It's never been without. Nobody knows the true nature of humanity. Nobody. Except for the one who put it all into motion. But it's up to human. It's up to us, man, to do this, to make it to where it comes into being, it comes into existence. Nobody's going to do it for us. The universe ain't going to do it for us. The little aliens up there in the sky, the Pleiadians everybody's talking about, they ain't going to do it for us. The little UFOs flying, they ain't going to do it for us. The little lizard people from the fourth dimension, they ain't going to do it for us. None of that shit's going to do it for us. It's all us. It comes from within. And
Change
this
has to take place between the ears.
and the heart. Pull up the star. I could read that. But I marked this up and showed you basically the same thing with the hat with this.
This whole
You can see
thing's
the
on the
national-
website?
Yeah, this is all on IamSomeDude.com.
IamSomeDude.com. It's on the website. You can download this. You can see right here, this is the threat to national security. This is their reaction to it. Everything on here is the same thing I just read off the document before. I just put it in that format. What they did is they created a clearinghouse. And basically, what is a... I'm going to read this. Let's suppose for a moment the existence of an individual was wealth such great that all who knew him might have entire confidence and performance of what he has promised. Let as then suppose that he should have said to the laborers of the country, go to the mills and I'll see your wages are paid. To the millers, he said, employ these people and I'll see your cloth is sold. To the farmer, he said, give your food to labor and I will see that your payment forthwith will be made to the city and traders. Fulfill these orders, do this, do everything. We will ensure it happens. That's what they put in place. They bought it. This is just a giant clearinghouse now. This ain't even a country anymore. It's a giant clearinghouse. And they did this so they would have enough materials, enough value, goods, and other products that they could do in service their international obligations to other countries.
Commerce, they wanted commerce.
They wanted commerce. So when they did this, each one of us became a trust protector and a capital contributor, self-governing yourselves while your fruit goes into the fulfillment of the declaration to allow this nation to exist, to give it what it needs to survive. Okay? If you build something, if you do a corporation, you put all your heart and soul in it, right? You want it to survive. You put everything into it. This is no different. It's just on a grander scale. So. Okay. And right here, what they found is as soon as they put this into implementation, 6 months later, the country was out of debt and it had so much in its coffers, it didn't need anybody else. It didn't need the wealthy English capitalists over here with their damn central banks doing all this bullshit. And the rest of it just goes down. So all that's left is for you to accept the obligation. Can you pull up that up one, the star? The star, that second PDF. Okay, this is where we started. This is the intention of the party is the soul of the instrument. Each one of you is an instrument of creation. So your intention is your soul. Your water is your belief, your faith, your baptism. It's like what you wash yourself clean of all the impurities of to make sure your spirit is pure, and you put it through the fire to purify it. So you initiate it, you back like the first one into the water. You first forge your intent to shape it, to give it life. You anneal it or revitalize it by putting it in the water so it hardens up and can fulfill its true purpose and potential. It's a standard way you make weapons. It's a standard way you make iron rod, stuff like that. The blacksmith, he constantly heats it up, pounds it out, puts it back in the water. When you put metal back in the water, it hardens up. Now when you walk the path, you take your spirit and you start walking it through the water of the baptism, the intent, the purpose. You're going to get a little confused along the way because it's going to realign everything. Water has a fourth element, fourth state. It's called crystal. There's a book, there's a YouTube video, water is a battery or something like that, where it shows that when water meets a hydrophilic substance and it's met with ambient, like infrared energies, it creates a natural crystalline structure between the hydrophilic and itself.
Gerald Pollack.
Yeah. Oh, that the guy? Yeah. And what they've found is it stores a charge. And it can grow infinitely big. It can realign itself up as far as you can make it go. It's the fourth state. It's a memory. It's the beginnings of a computer system within each one of us, a liquid crystal. And this is where the new conscious will take shape, in the crystalline structure within that, where then we can transmit it to each other very readily and very easily. So we don't have to have the knowledge that's hidden anymore and transfer those on because we're all going to have it. There's nothing hidden anymore in this universe, guys. All what is hidden and has been covered up is now being revealed because the age of illusion is over. The Mayan calendar has ended. Maya's reign, or the deceiver's reign, is over. Now the bet comes due. The bet between God and the deceiver. He said, God said, I'm going to put my the deceiver said, yeah, I bet you I can make him turn. He said, have fun. I'll be back in 2,000 years. And now he's back. Now it's time to realize that no matter what he was going to do, he ain't winning this bet. It's time for us. All right, now when you walk through and your intent and you fire, you're removing any further impurities within it. Now since you're not going back to the water, now the chains can break and you can free yourself from this earth. You can free yourself from the binds that bind you to this earth. Will not let you ascend as the law falls away because you're fulfilling it, you're unbonding it, and you're allowing yourself to ascend and fulfill your own divine potential. And the fruit from that divine potential will then go into everything else. And thus create the new world we will see around us. And this is where we're going with it. And right now, what happens, people come in, their spirit is good, they go through the baptism, they go through the fires, they get over here to the earth. And they think they gotta keep it because they're fighting something they're keeping a hold of. When you do this, you go right back to the water. Earth, water, mud, fire, hardened heart. It hardens around the heart, creates a new bind. You have to let go at this point. You cannot keep a hold of whatever you think it is. The house, the car, shop, nothing. It's all just property you have and use. And the government itself is designed to protect your right to use, to hold, and for your own exclusive use or those around you. That's what this does. That's what it protects. Your rights, your inalienable rights that you're given by your Creator. That's the purpose of you giving everything to it. So you can be on this planet and have some sort of semblance and collection to your Creator, to your divinity, without being oppressed by someone demanding you act a certain way or be a certain way. This is what the secret is. This is what they're protecting. But right now, you have people in control of it who are a little bit screwed up. They just lost their way. They're just lost sons and daughters, and it's up to you to love them, not hate them. Don't fear, don't hate. Those are all the need love side. Be love, and those that need love will receive it. Just accept what is. Accept them for who they are. And know that sometimes they do not know what they're doing until they're reminded of it. Because all of us We're here for a reason. We all forgot our way. We're all on this planet because we did something to get here, to forget our way. And we're stuck here in this lower vibrational frequency of this dimension. We have to get out. And this purpose of we're here to rise up above it and ascend and become the beings we are supposed to be. The spirit, the mind, the soul, all infused into one of our Creator in this form. And in His image. He created us all in His image. And He breathed His life into us. We just haven't accepted it. We decided we want to go off and do our own damn thing. And as soon as we did that, we lost our way. It was our ego took control, our emotions took control. Suddenly it was mine. I was the one doing this, instead of everything flowing through me and allowing it to happen. You took the glory. And you want the money, you want the cars, you want the houses, everything. All that stuff is you want the glory. That's all symbolic of what you're taking away. The glory you keep for yourself. Don't want it. Don't need it. It's just stuff, just energy in different form. When you're fully active, you'll be able to manipulate all this shit. Turn anything, all this energy into something else. Because that's where we're headed. This is just the first stage of it. This is the first crystallization of the first foundation that's coming through. For the next wave of consciousness is going to direct the next people. And this is where our job is important, because it is that first foundation. So when you get beyond the earth and you start ascending, and it's just a demonstration of your lack of title, claim of ownerships. You didn't own it. You didn't do anything. You never do anything. You just let it flow through you. You become a torus coil of energy. All the energies around you are flowing. You just allow them to flow. You're the part in the torus coil that makes it do this. Without the part in the middle, it doesn't do this. It does this. It stops. There's no way to keep it going. There's no way to keep that going. You have to be the force of the invisible force in the coil itself that keeps everything flowing around it. And that's what our job is basically we're remembering all this. We're learning it. Now, I'm going to show you here. What happens when you reverse that star? Remember, in order to come down here from heaven, it flips. It twists and flips. Alright? When you have the star, okay. If you're doing it for yourself, the spirit is pointed towards you instead of away from you. Then no matter how lofty your goals are here on earth, when you start going through your desires and forging the instrument, what happens? You anneal it and harden it, thus binding yourself to the earth. Not freeing yourself from it. So what you do is you enslave the self in between it. So you're enslaving yourself by doing for self. You free yourself because you enslave that ego to help you. And you trick the ego by telling it the only way we can be happy within is to do for all without. And now your ego becomes your greatest ally. Because he'll ensure that he's happy. You just have to give him something to be happy about. And he'll take over. And now he becomes the guide. You turn Satan into a servant, into a guide again. You turn him back into an angel. You save him from his own demise. You bring him back to God so he can be reconciled as well.
He's no longer preoccupied with matters of gloom or concern.
Correct. He no longer counts because he no longer accounts for anything because he just lets it go. Your ego right now is being your spirit. As long as it's for self, you'll imprison yourself. As long as for others, the ego will be your greatest servant. Won't be your master anymore. It'll serve you and thus serve the universe and not be a blocker or an impediment, because its only happiness comes from the happiness of everyone around it, because then it draws from that energy within. And if everybody around it isn't happy, then itself is angry, and it will make sure everybody is happy, because now You put in the charge of not a subjugator, but a protector. That's the truest love of all, is a protection. It's just self-sacrifice yourself for someone else and their dreams, their desires, their loves, their wishes. Anything they love, you protect. That's what makes you the trust protector. Everybody is a trust protector. Why? Because you protect the trust of each other. If one of you are harmed, we are all harmed. If one is in prison, we are all in prison. Because it's only a matter of time before that thought crosses over to the next, and the next, and the next, and the chains get rebound. That's how easy it gets. But it's also very easy to get rid of. You just have to get rid or control this ego area. And you do that by tricking it. You use deception on the deceiver. And that's the secret. It's really simple. You don't care about yourself. It's irrelevant. I've learned in this book, it's irrelevant what I feel, think, say, or do. Because the universe is always going to happen. It's always going to unfold the way it should unfold. It's irrelevant what you think, say, or do. Other than the fact that it will block. But it's still unfolded the way it should have unfolded, because you're here. You're either a conduit or you're a blocker. You're the resistor. And a resistor in a circuit tends to blow. And it tends to create open circuits. When you get open circuits, you have energy flow. What we do here is we close the circuit and cause the energy to flow as being a conduit. And it all manifests itself here on Earth through the system and the government that's in place. Alright, so we can take a break here.
Anybody have any questions?
I have one question. I'm trying to get a little bit clearer the concept about serving, sort of like with the law, with the Section 100. Is it your opinion that that's something we should do, or is it your opinion that that's something man has done to enslave us?
Liber Code 100 was not designed for you. It was designed for the administration of the trust created by you, called this earth. It's designed for those earthly servants to administrate the earthly estates of us.
Okay, but do you think that's a good idea, or is that being is that being used against us?
I think it's brilliant. The only thing being used against you is your own ignorance.
Right.
That's it. It's as simple as that. The only thing that's being used against us is our ignorance.
They get
Our
you.
people perish for lack of knowledge or ignorance. So it's the ignorance of not knowing what's going on, of not comprehending it, that's creating your problems. And it's your own ignorance for your refusal to even look at it or learn it. To try and come at it like you're trying to protect something or hold on to something. That's where your ignorance comes into play, because it's not about holding on, it's about letting go. And it's all about unification, not separation. There are no separate forms of law. This is all about one law form, returning back to one. Returning back to one. Not common law, war, or common law, animality law, and all those other laws, forms, and everything else. Those are all divisions designed to keep you divided and conquered. You unify them back and together. That's why in England, was it 300 years ago or 200 years ago or something, they realized what the lawyers were doing. So the judges in England took all the law forms and went squish. This is what came out.
And they're trying to reinstate a form of common law over on England right now.
Correct.
It's going to Westminster and the Archbishop of Canterbury and that stuff. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but there is no law. There's only one. There's divine law. And we're each divine. We're each part of the divine.
And the supposition of the Queen as being the defender of the faith has now been totally flipped on its backside, upside down, and reversed and inverted. And it's exposed as the nature of it is that spirit right there.
Correct. Right now, a lot of people have been corrupted, even the higher ups. They're doing this all for self. Granted, I know a lot of them are also doing this for another divine purpose, because their job is to direct us. And how do you direct a group of people where you want them to go? You show them what they don't want. And that's what they're doing. They're showing you what you don't want. The only thing is, you equate what you don't want with the system. The system itself is neutral and divine in purpose and meaning. These guys who are running it, most of them, they found an instruction manual during the Crusades, and they found a part of it. I believe there are a group of people on this earth that are here to protect that very nature of the system, to make sure that we all go through it. because it's all part of a growing process. It's all part of a way to get to a point where we don't need the money, we don't need anything else, we don't need the conflict, we don't need any of that stuff to survive. We just love and act God through us. We just let Him flow. We let all those universal energies flow through and into the environment. And let that change happen. Because it does happen. It happens really beautifully too. When you just let it go, let it flow. You can be the witness to a wish, a participant in it, witness to the event, witness to the effects, a witness to the karmatic record, and get the joke all at once. And when you get the cosmic jokes, you understand why the wind blows.
I appreciate the beneficial.
It's the Creator laughing at the futility that is man trying to control his damn ego.
So those powers that are we had, they use that symbol.
Huh?
They use that symbol.
I don't know if they use this symbol. I use it just because it worked. It fit everything in. Yeah, they probably use this symbol.
Families that
Yeah.
once found us in the
Yes.
earth, they use that symbol.
They do use a pentagon, I know that. I've
Yeah,
seen
they use the
that.
Pentagon. But what you do is you can take any symbol and you can flip it and have it mean. We're gonna do this one. This is the one Kurt Kallenbach yelled at. All right. What is that?
That's like,
Huh? What does it mean?
it's called seeing eye, that's the Plantagenetic interpretation and the projection of that illusion in matrix. Oh, yeah. And that's all of it.
Okay. This is the Illuminati symbol everybody knows on the little thing. It has a little light around it and everything else. What it means, if you keep your heart, your soul, and your mind in balance, then the whole of love or equity will protect you as it gives insight into your soul, which this is the Eye of Horus, or Christ, because it's the same damn story. Egyptian mythology and Christianity, same story, different actors.
And Sumerian, Phoenician.
All right, Sumerian, Egyptian, Celtic, Gaelic, the Indian mythologies, all that stuff. Everywhere around the world, it's all the same story. Same exact story, different actors. And everybody's fighting over it. In other words, they're all fighting over superficial crap.
The never-ending story.
Yeah. But this is what this means. This is what, if you keep it all in balance, then this love and equity can never hurt you and will always protect you because it gives an insight into your soul. This is what they're doing with it. This is the symbol. It's not anything bad. They're not doing anything bad whatsoever. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing by their purpose. It's us who judge them. The people judge. When you judge something, you claim ownership of it. When you claim ownership of it, it's an affront to God. So who's the one in dishonor to the Creator now? These, the ones who are doing this, are the ones who are judging them for doing it. And this is where we have to change. Do not judge. The tree of good, of knowledge and evil is a tree of judgment. When we ate from that, the punishment was we will judge each other till the rest of our days. The only way to get back is to apologize for the sin of making the judgment in the first place. Who the hell are we to determine what's good and what's evil? What right did we have to judge anything that the Creator put on its earth or in its place? What right do we have? None. It's all here for us. It was all here done out of love for us. to help us grow into the beings we are supposed to be. Not this world, something else. We were supposed to be more than what we are here. I don't really know what it's going to end up, but it's going to be more beautiful than anything that's going to be the real human nature, the real man. Not this fabricated, illusionary bullshit that we're dealing with today. The one that's manipulated by the bankers and the feminists and whatever the hell you want to throw in there, and all that crap trying to tell us how to think, act, do shit, everything else we do. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sick of it. I want to go home.
I'm sick of pinking NFL right now, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I am too.
I want to go,
Yeah,
Join the H.
go to home. There you go. Go back to home. Go back to home. And that's where we're going. We're all going back to home.
I think it's good.
Okay?